Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Abe with MysticGenMara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight, whenever you happen to be seeing this, I would like to offer your March 15th through the 21st Elemental Rune reading. These are general readings, so take what works and leave the rest for someone else. If you've never had your charts read, there is a link in the description to a natal interpretation chart, and it gives you your base 12 houses and then a 10 to 20 page description of what all that means, because there's a lot that can be in those. With that, we'll get started with our runes. I read for the elements instead of the zodiac, so each element covers 3 zodiac signs. For fire, it is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So if you're Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or have fire high up in your chart, this section's for you. And fire, you're starting off with the Wunjo rune, which is the rune of joy. Color is yellow, tarot association is strength, and astrology is Leo. So this is really pulling forward your energy, fire. A sign of happiness and harmony, a situation changing for the better. This is really a good indicator that if there's something that you've been worried about, stressed about, there's going to be an opening. It may not be a complete resolution, but there is something that is shifting in this, and it's shifting in the most positive way forward for you. So this is a good time to really take those next steps, get really clear on what it is that you are wanting to create. And let's see, your second rune here is, well, get clear on things, but follow with advice, because we have the Hagalaz rune is your second rune, which is the rune of hail. Color is light blue, tarot association is the world, and astrology is Aquarius, which is air. So it is a friendly energy, but this rune is more of a lesson. Unexpected setbacks or problems, attempting to let things flow, possible disruptive natural events. Well, that's never fun for those who've been through mudslides and fires and etc. Not the greatest thing to have that show up. But what I'm getting with these two is the Wunjo is really calling forth, get clear on what you're after, make sure you're doing things for the right reasons, using your inner strength, your natural skills and talents, fire. Especially if you're a Leo, this is a born leader energy. This is the energy that you're wanting to call forth. The Hagalaz in this one, the world is an indicator of a shifting pattern. And right now you're in the process of moving something into a different state. Now, the unexpected part of Hagalaz, or the risky part of Hagalaz, is when, if you're not walking with intention and you're not clear on what it is you're after, the universe is going to purposely trip you. And that's not to be rude. It does it to catch your attention, to be like, okay, are you, like, hello, are you paying attention? And that's the energy that's coming up this week. This week is going to be a really good one for those who are awake, those who are paying attention. So what you want to do, especially if you're watching this on the Sunday, the 15th, is you want to get clear on what it is you're wanting to manifest, what it is you're wanting to work on, and allow yourself that gift of patience, especially if something happens to pop up. Hagalaz is a warning rune. It's not saying that it's going to happen. It's saying you need to be paying attention. There's things shifting here, and if you're not ready for this next step, it might not go as well as you would like. And Wunjo is saying make sure you're getting clear. Things will start to move. That's that Leo leader lion energy. And you also have strength card as for tarot in that concept. So you're ready to move. Things are heading in the right direction. Make sure you're clear. The lion of Leo is very clear, very determined, very matter of fact, and then things are going to go great. If not, you might have those little trip ups that catch your attention. So be aware, this week's definitely going to be an interesting one for our fire family. Let's hop over to Earth. Earth covers the zodiac signs of Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So if you're Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or have Earth high up in your chart, you are starting off with the Berkana rune, which is the rune of birth. Color is dark green. Tarot association is the Empress, so some goddess energy here. And your astrology is Virgo. So this is, again, tying into the strong aspects of Earth. Renewal, promise of a new beginning, new growth, birth, family, and home. So this is really tapping into some of Earth's base level energies with that hearth, the home, finances. And this is really saying there's something new that you are creating this week. And if it's something you've been working on for a while, you might step into the next option. You might see things in a new light. There is this energy of something new or renewal that I'm getting here. So Earth, really get into that flow state and look at what's happening and allow yourself to see things from that new perspective is the other part of that, because you are I'm feeling this energy with Earth that there is something that is happening that may be a little bit unexpected, but it's something that you needed. It's like that next piece of the puzzle that you found because your cat tossed it underneath the couch, and that's the piece that you needed to solve. And that's what I'm getting with this, is you have this piece that you've not quite got, but you're going to receive it this week. Your second rune, and this could be the answer to that piece you're missing, is Othela with the ancestral property. Color is deep yellow. Tarot association is the moon. So intuition popping up here with some water. And astrology is the full moon, definitely water energy. Possessions and inheritances, real property, inherited abilities or traits. This could be a latent ability that you haven't used in a while, like your intuitive guidance, something along those lines, Earth. But when you have Berkana coming in, what I'm getting is Berkana is saying, hey, there's something new happening. Othela is like, because you already had it, you forgot about it. Or you put it someplace safe, and who knows where that is. But with this week, you may find that piece that you needed. You may find the answer to that question. Berkana is saying new things. Othela is like, let's make the old new again, because you already have this. Now it's time to use it in a new way. So, Earth, you have some you have some good things coming, and there's some searches that are going to be coming to an end, hopefully for you, when you get the answer that you're looking for. So similar to fire in that aspect, you want to get clear on what it is that you're missing, what it is that you need to fill, and then allow the universe to bring that to you. So let's hop over to our air family. Air covers the zodiac signs of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So if you are Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, or have air high up in your charts, this is for you. And air, you are starting off with Anzus, which is the ancestral god Odin. This is a interesting rune, we'll put it that way. Color is dark blue, tarot association is death, and astrology is Mercury. It's wisdom and help from someone older. It can indicate magic, psychic powers, or initiation coming to the forefront. Air. The god Odin sacrificed to gain wisdom, unbelievable wisdom. He literally sacrificed an eyeball so he could gain access to all knowledge of the planet. So that's kind of cool. And when we look at this rune, we also understand that there's this energy of death. Death does not mean an ending of everything. It is the ending of a cycle, of a pattern, of a thought form. You also have Mercury saying whatever's coming to an end is going to happen swiftly. You're not going to have to dilly-dally. You're going to end this pretty quick. And it might be the universe steps in and says, okay, we're done. You're holding on to this. No more. Take it away. And so you have things like that happening, but you also have this divine wisdom that is coming through. And you also are getting this indicator that there is a older, and I don't say that as an age, I'm talking in spirit, mentor aspect that is coming in, and that could be the person that's like, oh child, you're done with that, no more of this, take this away, it's time for you to step beyond those things. And so you do have some very interesting growth potential here, and it could be with your intuitive or your psychic, whichever term you like, aspects, or it could be an awakening to a deeper sense of your own personal power and authority, air. And that can be a little bit scary when you first step into it, because when you start having these intuitive things happen, or you have manifestations happening because you put these into the universe, that can be a little spooky, because then you start to realize, oh wait, I actually am the one in charge of my life. And can be terrifying. The upside, that's also relieving. Air, you love knowledge, wisdom, and power, which this ties into all of that. And Mercury is one of your planets anyway. So you are in the right area. It's just you have to be ready to let some things go that may not be the best options anymore. And your second rune is the Eowaz rune, which is the rune of the yew tree. Color is dark blue. Tarot association is the Hanged Man, so you have some water coming in. And astrology is Scorpio. Yep, you've got a water buddy. Protection, time of death and rebirth, foresight and perseverance necessary. So when you have these two runes coming together, the yew tree is also a tree of wisdom. There is a great deal of wise aspects coming forward for you. But you also have some work to do. You have to cut away and be okay for things to quote unquote die. You have to allow the stuff that doesn't serve, that's not working, you have to let that go this week. And what I'm hearing, I don't usually hear this. The universe is actually going to step in on this one. It's going to help you remove this. So it could be that toxic coworker, and all of a sudden they get moved to another department. It could be that stressful situation at home, and something just happens and that situation's over. The universe is actually going to be interfering a little bit, not in a bad way. Your soul's agreed to this, it's just your conscious mind has to catch up. So there is that aspect, and the Hanged Man is saying allow yourself to view things from another viewpoint. With Scorpio, you also have that little bit of fire of water, so you have a little bit of hostility coming in here, and that's more of a heads up. You don't want to go that direction. If things start to get really weird and moving quickly, Mercury, Death card, and Odin, understand there's a lesson in that expediency, and there's a reason that it is happening at that higher rate, that faster rate. And it's basically being that you get to step away from this problem, this chaos, whatever it may be. It could be a habit that's getting basically broken this week. There's a lot of different ways to see the Death card. It's not just about, oh, someone's dying. That can be the case, but that's not always the case. Generally, it means there's an ending of a situation, and it's a final ending. It's not a, well, we'll get around to it later. It's more like, we're done here. So be aware that that could be a possibility for air this week. Let's hop over to our water family. Water covers Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. All of our little fishies out there. Not all little, but fishies. And water, we are starting your week off with, if I don't drop it, the Uraz rune, which is a color of dark green. Tarot association is the High Priestess, and astrology is Taurus, so you're working with some earth energy. I think earth was working with fire and water as well. Creative power, wisdom, and knowledge, good fortune, opportunity, and water. This rune also is the indicator of a little bit more amorous energy popping up. The sexuality might be a little more of a focus this week, and that's not a bad thing. And you have the High Priestess coming in, meaning you are learning to speak from your intuitive state. You are working with the Divine Feminine. It's not fully brought through yet, because the High Priestess is in a position to communicate better. Doesn't mean she's fully there yet, because you have to understand both sides to be able to fully communicate. But you are in a really good spot, and this is also indicating that feminine energy that's coming in. Taurus, grounding, hearth, home. A little bit of bullheaded energy might be popping up here as well. But overall, you've got some really good opportunities, some doors opening for you this week, water. What does that mean? They're showing a canoe, and someone's just kind of like their feet kicked up, the paddles are in, the oars are in, and it's just going. So maybe it's just that indicator of you might think you're struggling, but in reality, you're just floating down the stream, doing what needs to be done, and you don't even realize that you're doing it, is the vibe I'm getting here. So your second rune is the Rado rune, which is a long journey on horseback, or a canoe in this situation, I guess. Color is bright red. Tarot association is the Hierophant, and astrology is Sagittarius, again working with that fire energy. Water and fire are really wrapped up with earth this week, so if you have all of those in your charts, might be a good idea just to figure out what direction you're going, get really clear on things, and then let the universe take the reins. So we're indicating a physical journey, a pleasant one, journeys that bring positive development, and it's also an indicator of a spiritual journey or a mental journey. So a journey to self, you could call this, and when you have these two coming together, like I said with the Uraz rune, I was getting this image of have your feet kicked up, you're in a canoe floating down a river, and you're not worried about where you're going, and then Rado's like a long journey on horseback or canoe, and so you've got these things happening where there's movement occurring for water this week. It is not a stagnant week. You are not a pond this week. You are a river. And with that, it's saying, get into your passion state. Get into that energy of fire. Get into that more Scorpio energy. And Pisces, if you're a Pisces, you already have all of this. You carry everyone else's energy. So tap into the things that bring forward this fiery energy, because there's something about getting into your passions, and that could be a creative passion, that could be an artistic passion, that could be a passion for the work that you're doing. Get into that state, and that is going to help move things the way that into that state where you just don't realize you're doing all of the stuff, but things are falling into place. That's the energy I'm getting here, is when you get into your feels, your emotional connection to the project you're working on, it allows you to progress rapidly, and you don't even realize you're doing anything. If you've ever written a poem and you get into the emotions of it and you don't realize that you've written 6 pages, or if you are a writer and you're writing a novel and you really start to watch the scene play out, and all of a sudden you've put in like 7 chapters, because that weirdly happens with some writers. Or if it's whatever creation you're working on, when you get into that passion state where it's almost, they're showing me it's almost like a frenzied state. You don't realize that time passes because you're so focused on the project at hand. And that's where you're at, water. This week is really about getting into that state and being able to access that. And then when you do, run with that. So, overall, this week has some very interesting ups and downs. The big thing I'm getting here is learn to trust your intuition. This is all signs and all elements. Learn to trust your intuition. This week is about getting into that flow state and allowing yourself to say, okay, universe, this is what I'm looking for. You get clear on your side, and then you say, this is what I'm looking for. And the universe is like, cool, we can work with this. And that's the vibe that's coming up this week for all elements and energies. So what I would say is, when you first watch this video, sit down with a piece of paper, get clear on what your goals and dreams and destinations are, the big stuff. And then allow yourself to hand that off to the universe and watch what happens. The next steps magically fall into place. You make rapid leaps in progress when you're not the one who's fighting the universe for control, and you're working with the universe, you're co-creating. Things happen a lot more interestingly. So with that, I hope you guys and gals have a great week. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, feelings, and impressions, and I will see you in the next video.